Alright guys, we're back for another Dokkan battle video, and we are actually doing another one of these no item runs. Now, this one takes a very long time, but as you guys can see, we're using the PEPPY Gal team here, the new and improved, new powerful PEPPY Gal team. We are going into Super Battle Road, but we're not in the PEPPY Gal stage. That's the most important thing here. The PEPPY Gal stage is easily no item. That's not even a challenge. It's the easiest no item stage in all of Super Battle Road, even easier than the original 10 stages. This is the Super Class stage, which I rate as one of the 3 hardest stages in Super Battle Road. And the PEPPY Gal team, this is so effortless. It's almost it's unbelievable. It's insane. And the reason, by the way, is because of Int Ribrian. Now, before we go further, I do want to say, I was thinking of bringing the PEPPY Gal team into Super Class Super Battle Road, but I did not think they would be able to no item it. I was just thinking I would probably test them out in that stage. But I actually probably wasn't going to do it because I thought, there's a lot of other stuff I want to do instead. But I actually saw a post on the Dokkan subreddit by Luca39, who posted that his friend had beaten the Super Stage no item, and I saw the team and I was like, oh, PEPPY Gals is that strong, huh? Alright, well, let's test it out. And sure enough, this is my very first attempt. On attempt 1, I no itemed this. Now, I can't think. I might have no items another category stage on try 1. Like PEPPY Gals I did so long ago I didn't even have to do attempts on it, right? But even I want to say the Hybrid Saiyan stage still took me 1 or 2 attempts or 3 attempts or something like that. But this is literally attempt 1 and we beat it. Now, here's the thing. Int Ribrian is the key for this. So this is the most dangerous turn we will have. Khalifa took 100k right there. This is the single most dangerous turn we'll have in the entire run. Basically, if we survive this turn right here, a rotation without Ribrian on it, then we're going to be fine moving forward because every other rotation will have Ribrian, and then Khalifa gets to dodging. Now, Khalifa, if you guys are not aware, the way Khalifa works is that against a Pure Saiyan or Universal Survival Arc enemy, Tech Khalifa has a 100% chance to dodge. If there is not one of those, I believe Khalifa still gets a 6% chance to dodge based upon PEPPY Gal and Universal Survival Arc allies on the team. And, Khalifa counts as both, so she'll give 12% to the Tech Khalifa. Tech Khalifa will give 12% to herself. I believe it should work like that, right? What? Yeah, it works like that. So, Tech Khalifa, even though we're not going up against Pure Saiyan, okay, this is big right there. We did need that. And Khalifa got the counter as well, which, is pretty rare, but that was very helpful right there because Khalifa's still taking a pretty decent amount of damage. And now, boom, we've won. The no-item run is basically complete at this point. The only way the PEPPY Gal team is going to lose, provided you have Int Ribrians on both rotation, that's you have to. But if you have that, you have almost no chance of dying. Unless, all 4 enemies would have to super attack before Ribrian would attack or something like that. It's the only way to lose with this team. This is a joke. It takes a long time. I think this is almost a 25-minute run or something like that. But there's just no difficulty whatsoever because you go through all these PEPPY Gal units and the things they do, right? Ribrian has 220% attack and defense, right? Based upon all of her stuff rolled together. Then she seals. She gives the rest of the rotation 30% attack and defense, and she lowers enemy attack and defense by 30%. Ribrian is one of the single most busted units in the game. As for real, she's ridiculous. It's stunning how powerful they made her. Now, she is pretty much constricted to the PEPPY Gal team to have all of those things combined together, right? But I mean, here we go. And then, we look at something like STR Chi-Chi, right? She gives 120% to all PEPPY Gal units on rotation. She seals. Tech Khalifa has these crazy dodges. Launch, is going to be busting out multiple super attacks and stuff like that. Now, I do actually make a mistake here. No, it's not this turn. It's going to be later on. But because of the way launch works, right? Where for the first 5 turns, she gets basically, well, it's not guaranteed double supers, but I believe she does a super attack, and then she has a second attack that's like a 50% chance to be a super, right? So for the first 5 turns, Launch is very likely to double super, and she also will lower enemy attack, right? And she also has a decent chance to do crits as well, I believe. So like Launch can really put up a very strong offensive right at the start of these fights. But the issue is, after 5 turns, she loses a lot of her other abilities. She's still decent, like, you know, she'll lower attack. She's got a nice attack and defensive buff, but not the juggernaut she is in the first 5 stages. So one mistake I make is going into the second fight. Launch is in the last slot, so I only get 1 turn of Launch having her full passive in the next fight against, you know, the Universe 6 opponents. Really, like, when going over the team I built here, remember, we are on the super class stage of Super Battle World, right? So the most important thing to remember is that I have to use one of every typing, right? This is why I have AGL Khalifa on the team, is because I had to use an AGL unit. And the only options that I could use were AGL Khalifa, and then like LR Kalen Khalifa and TUR Kalen Khalifa and SSR Kalen Khalifa. Like, those are the only AGL PEPPY Gal units I have kind of built up, right? And I did not want to use Kalen Khalifa. Like, you know, Kalen Khalifa, we know how OP they are, how busted they are. I thought that in order to prove how impressive the PEPPY Gals team was, it was important for me to do this run without using Kalen Khalifa. So that's why we're using AGL Khalifa instead. Because, you know, again, if we switch AGL Khalifa with LR Kalen Khalifa, I mean, this run, we probably take maybe as many as 10 minutes off the runtime for this video, I'm sure. But, like, again, it's a lot more impressive that we're not using them, I think, right? The other thing, too, is because this is a super class stage, we're not able to use units like Oceanus Shenron, Darkness Toa, or Future Android 18, right? Oceanus Shenron in particular would absolutely obliterate, dominate, like incinerate this stage. Just to show how busted she is, I probably will head into... I think with Oceanus, I'll do the Shadow Dragon Saga stage and show how strong she is there. But Oceanus can seal, and then she can also crit. So, she could seal, and then she could stun, is what I meant to say. Yeah, like, the critting's not a big deal with Oceanus, but the fact that she could seal and stun makes her very strong, right? And she could do it to, like, you know, because she's going to double super on the Shadow Dragon team, like, every single time, she's always going to have that chance to stun and seal on every single attack, pretty much. So she's going to be very impressive. So I would have actually used Oceanus on this team if I could have. Now, going through it, again, you know, the 2 Ribrianne leaders, they are a must. Also, by the way, we did get pretty lucky here that Ribrianne can attack first. So that means we could seal right away, right? Like, one of the big things, especially in this fight, is because we could get super attacked by every single enemy here, I thought it was very important for me to try and seal as many of them as possible. The other thing, too, is, like, because we're about to get the Dokkan attack, one of my main goals here is to spread damage out as much as possible, too. Like, I didn't want to focus down on one enemy. See, that's nothing right there, because she had type advantage over Kabe. But I wanted to spread out damage as much as possible between all of these enemies so that, you know, hopefully the Dokkan attack could take out multiple of them rather than, like, focusing down on hits. And then, like, you know, maybe the Dokkan attack would finish him off, but a lot of the other units would have high amounts of health. Because, remember, like, these stages, like, are pretty much geared for you to be using category, like category teams. Like, even back when it first came out, using the Tech Vegito Blue, like, double lead team and SCR Rose team was fairly difficult. It was always much easier to do this with a category team, right? So that's another, like, just to show how, like, seriously crazy this team is. Like, we're only on a double 120% lead here. Like, think of, like, the category teams that sometimes get smacked around in this stage. And here we are with the PEPPY Gal team. And, like, as you guys can see, like, you know, outside of that second turn where, you know, Khalifa did get hit for 100k, and then, you know, we did have, like, one super attack counter, but, like, we still weren't even really that close to losing. Like, we completely dominate and control this fight from beginning to end. Like, there's not even really, like, turns that are that risky. Like, there's one here and there, but it's just Ribrianne lowering, like, 30%, lowering enemy attack by 30%, like, I'm telling people don't understand how high of a number that is. Like, STR Omega Shenron has that same ability, and he's still really good. Like, lowering enemy attack by 30%, it's just such a monster number. Like, when STR Omega Shenron gets his EZA, which I think could possibly come with the 300 million download celebration, especially if that, like, celebration might have, like, Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta and, like, transforming Sin Shenron as, like, the main banner units, which I think is possible, and then they bring STR Omega Shenron's EZA, that would be a really good celebration, I think. But, like, STR Omega, after he gets his EZA, I think he very well could be the best EZA unit. He has the potential. I mean, it depends on what they do with him. I do think he could surpass Janemba. You know, provided Janemba, his ability will work in, like, any fight anywhere in the game. You know, Omega's is going to probably be limited to being, like, he'll completely dominate if the enemy can have their attack lowered. But if not, you know, he's not going to be as effective, right? So, like, the very end of the Legendary Goku event, right, like, Janemba would be better than Omega, and then, like, you know, EZA stuff, like, Janemba would definitely be better than Omega in that scenario, but, like, they really could just, I don't know, go crazy. Like, Omega has 120% attack and defense, lowers enemy attack by 30%, and then, like, has, like, you know, an additional super and other stuff. Like, he would just be so crazy. Like, it would be absolutely insane. And, like, right now, STR Omega would not be usable on the Shadow Dragon Saga team because, you know, you pretty much have to use physical Omega as the leader. Like, he's the real leader of the team. So I think a transforming Sin Shenron is a perfect way to get around that. So that way you could use him as the leader of the team and then still use STR Omega. Or if you want, you could still use physical Omega, just not as the leader of the team. I think that would be great. So, like, Sin Shenron could be like, oh, dude, he could be Shadow Dragon Saga and Transformation Boost. Oh! Could you imagine? I mean, I don't know if they would give Sin Shenron Transformation Boost, because remember, his transformation is absorbing all of the Dragon Balls, so I don't know if they would actually put him on Transformation Boost or not. Just because physical Omega isn't on it now doesn't mean anything, because most of the units that transform mid-battle are on there, outside of, like, the fusions and then Turles, right? Turles just eats the fruit of the Tree of Might and powers up, so he's not put on the team. And then, like, you know, LR, Vegito, and Gogeta are not on the team. I think the Piccolo units are also not on the team, right? The fusions, but that, again, that's like, again, fusion, right? Whereas I'm not sure if they would consider Omega to be on there. I would assume so. Now, also, I should talk about Videl, right? So Videl does a lot. I gave her full additionals, I believe. So she has 15 additional, and it did, like, play out really perfectly there. Notice how our health, I believe, is going to be full after this, because Videl recovers 20% of the damage dealt as health. So we got supered for 100k, and by the end of the turn, we're back up at full health again, thanks to Videl. Videl dramatically lowers enemy attack from her passive and her super attack. So, like, she is a great defensive option here to keep the enemy attack lowered even more. Then she's able to heal. Like, this team, they just cover every single possible base. Like, you know, we're able to keep them, most of the enemies sealed at all times. Like, it's just a joke. Like, look at this. Like, Hit did 44k to Ribrianne right there. Go back through some of my videos running through this stage. Like, Hit will super attack, you know, like, LR Super Saiyan 4 Goku and do, like, 100k or something like that. Like, it's like, truly stunning how impressive the Peppy Gal team looks here. Like, you guys can see, like, this is not a struggle at all. Like, I did this stage, a couple weeks ago, and, you know, like, it was a struggle using, like, LR Oob and some of these units. Like, it was like, whew, like, you know, okay, we just barely managed to skate by, and here it's like we just completely dominate the stage. Like, there's just no difficulty, no effort whatsoever. So I think to myself that there's probably a good chance I can get another Dokkan attack, by the way. So I start thinking, oh, let me make sure to get the same type orbs every single time with these units. So that way, moving forward into that last fight, we could potentially get another Dokkan attack. Also, I make sure to keep Launch on rotation right here, so that in the next fight against Rose and Zamasu, I do have Launch ready to go for multiple turns of where she could do the multiple attacks, right? So that's kind of why I kept Launch on rotation right there, and then floated Videl off. So going into this fight, we actually do have not the best rotation I would have wanted. We have Ribrianne, and then we have the two Cauliflas. Now, we see how amazing Tech Caulifla is, right? But, you know, AGL Caulifla is probably the weakest unit we have on the team. It would have been much better if we had like Chi-Chi in this spot, because then we could have sealed them both. So I'm thinking right here, like, all right, this is tough. You know, these two. Well, no, I would probably say the second fight is probably the toughest fight. It's the one you're most likely to die. But like Rose is still gonna hit ridiculously hard, right? So like my thinking is, like, let's get him sealed as quick as possible. Then next turn, I think we'll have Chi-Chi. And then from that point on, I can kind of keep both of them sealed pretty much at all times. But this first turn is sort of, like, scary a little bit. Like, you know, maybe if Rose would super right away, and then Zamasu would super right away, and then AGL Khalifa just doesn't dodge anything, maybe that would take off most of our health, right? Like it's hard to say for sure, and sometimes it is hard to predict exactly how the enemies are going to go. So, sure enough, I had Ribrianne seal Rose, and he supers right away. So, that is always very, very annoying. So it's like here, I'm like, okay, well, I really wish I had sealed Zamasu, because the only way they could take us out in turn 1 would be if both of them super attacked. But I do not believe Zamasu super attacks, so we're good. And then, like, you know, our defensive levels are so high and stuff like that that we are pretty quickly able to heal up all of the health that we get. So I think I've gone over most of the units we're using on the team, like why they're here, why they're so valuable and stuff like that. Remember, AGL Khalifa, she has a 50% chance to dodge. I also gave my AGL Khalifa 15 dodge as well in the potential system, because she's not here to do damage, right? Her main job is dodging. So I felt like giving her the extra dodge in the potential system was definitely the way to go with her. Now, here we go. So we got Chi-Chi and Ribrianne, so we'll be able to keep these two basically seal locked moving forward the whole time, right? Now, I was very worried because I see Zamasu right there, and I'm like, you had better not. And then look at this. Look at all the health we're getting back just by getting these same type orbs. The other thing, too, I should mention is that keeping their attack lowered so much is, like, so important. This is why I'm constantly, like, moving my attacks back and forth between enemies. Is because, like, you know, with launch, it's like, okay, which one of the two is going to be giving us more of a threat? You know, who should I worry about lowering their attack more? So, like, I'm not really trying to quickly finish one of the two off as much as I am, like spreading my attacks out to keep them, like, you know, simultaneously sealed / attack lowered, sort of locked down, so we can continue to have this sort of, like, clean run, right? And it does work out. Everything works out from this point. I don't know. I don't even think we get super attacked another turn here. Like the rest of this is just us slowly whittling down their health. I do believe we do get another Dokkan attack too. That's the thing. Like Zamasu and Rose, they hang on so long that, like, we actually do get multiple Dokkan attacks, like, in this run. So it's one of those things where, like, this team can easily beat it, but, you know, it is doing it very slowly. And again, like, I put LRKL and Khalifa on the team over AGL Khalifa, and we cut down the length of this run by probably 10 or so minutes, because what I would probably do in that instance is I would have one rotation as Int Ribrianne and Tech Khalifa, and then the other rotation would probably be LRKL and Khalifa and Int Ribrianne. And then, like, those four wouldn't really be able to get touched very easily. Then we'd have the Int Videl, we'd probably have Launch, and then we'd have SCR Chi-Chi as our floaters, and we'd be able to keep the enemy completely locked down. Now, other units who potentially could be good here, SCR Kale, of course, you know, is very good like Khalifa. The only thing is that, you know, Chi-Chi giving that 120% defense to the whole rotation, plus sealing, I did feel was better. A lot of these units I did give full additionals to, by the way. My Tech Khalifa has full additionals, my Launch has full additionals, and so does my Videl, because, you know, it's like, the way they're helping me is not really by doing crits, but by getting multiple super attacks, right? So, like, Tech Khalifa, you know, one thing that's good about how long these fights take is that Tech Khalifa does stack her attack and defense. So, you know, as we're getting further into these fights, Khalifa's actual defense is getting better and better, so that even if she doesn't dodge, she'll still be able to tank it pretty effectively, right? Then, you know, Launch, the main thing with her, I'm thinking, is the amount of times she'll be able to lower the enemy's attack stat. And then also with Videl, it's the same thing. Like, Launch and Videl, the main focus of how they can help is lowering attack. So I was thinking of maximizing that rather than going for crits. And then, like, especially in Launch's case, you know, you're going to want to use her in very quick burst fights, right? Like, Launch is very powerful for 5 turns. So you know, in those 5 turns, she has a 50% chance to crit anyway. So I felt like giving her crits is really sort of worthless, and giving her 20 additional would be much better. And I mean, as we've seen, Launch has gotten her additional attack, I don't know, like from her potential system, like I feel like 3 or 4 times throughout this video. Like it happens pretty often. But also right there was an example of the downside of additional sometimes, is that occasionally you will get the additional from the potential system, but it'll just be a normal attack, right? Now, I get why they did that. That does balance it a little bit more, because I think if it was always a guaranteed additional super attack, it probably would be better than crits in a lot of instances. Like, anytime any unit would have any sort of effect at all, additionals would be better than crits. Like, crits would be better on a unit that maybe, you know, would just, like, greatly raise attack or something like that on a super. But, like, you know, the fact that it can be a normal, that's what kind of balances out a little bit more to where, you know, it's like, do you want to go for crits, which usually will give you maximum damage, or, you know, additionals can give you extra, like, effects, you know, stunning, things like that can be really, really useful. So, looking through the roster, I mean, Kefla is, of course, very, very powerful. You know, I did not use her here. I chose to go with Launch. But Kefla would have been just as good, I think. You know, she has the ability to super attack multiple times, just like Launch does. Kefla also has that chance to dodge, so she is very, very good. Oceanus, again, you can't use. Tech Android 18 is definitely very, very powerful, and she could get the job done. I could have just replaced Tech Khalifa with Tech Android 18. And Tech Android 18, if you're able to get her a lot of orbs, is incredible defensively. Very, very strong defensively. So I easily could have gone with Tech Android 18 instead of Khalifa. Like, Khalifa is not needed by any means, right? Tech Bra, I think, also would be a very good pick here. Because on the Peppy Gal team, Tech Bra does actually have a 60% chance to dodge, higher even than AGL Khalifa does. And Bra, of course, gives the 40% attack to the rotation. So with Bra on the team, we would be dealing a lot more damage as well. So, you know, Bra would be very good. Physical Ribrianne is okay, but I don't know that she really would need to be brought here. SCR Ribrianne is pretty decent as well. The Tech Waifu Android 18, the villain one, she's good. I mean, on a Peppy Gal team, she gets, what, I think 21% attack and defense per orb, which is a pretty high number, honestly. So, you know, with 21% attack and defense per orb, she would be able to get maybe even higher attack and defensive numbers than the Tech Tournament Power Android 18. So, you do have lots of options. And then, of course, you know, I could have probably brought... Which rotate? Okay, so instead of, like, Int Videl, I could have just put on, like, you know, TUR, Kale, and Khalifa, and then instead of AJL Khalifa, we could have did, you know, LR, Kale, and Khalifa, right? So, like, by the way, I guess, you know, while we have a couple minutes left, it's a good time to talk about this. For LRs and keeping their TURs, like, a lot of times people ask me, like, all right, Truth, so, you know, I pulled LR Baby, I got a copy, I opened up his bottom right path, and then I got a third copy. Do I keep it as a TUR? Honestly, I think there's no LR you should do this with. I think you rainbow them all immediately, except Kale and Khalifa. They're the only one, because their TUR and SSR, like, you could make the case their TUR is the best TUR in the game. You could make the case that the Kale and Khalifa SSR is the best SSR in the game as well. So they're a little bit different. And then, you know, I'm already on record as saying I think LR, Kale, and Khalifa without dupes, like, I think they're kind of still the best unit in the game, to be honest. So, like, you could maybe open up the bottom right path for Kale and Khalifa, and then after that, keep the TUR, keep the SSR. Like, I think that's probably your best bet, because, like, they're just so OP offensively, they're really good, right? But, again, the reason they're so stupid is their defensive ability as well. Permanently stacking defense, and then, you know, being able to build up like a 66% chance to dodge or whatever. It's just ridiculous. Like, having a million defense and then a 66% chance to dodge, like, you know, is pretty obvious, right? So that's why with them, sure, keep a TUR copy and an SSR copy, but the other LRs, nowadays, none of the TURs or SSRs or LRs are really that worth running in almost anywhere. They're just not... There's always a huge drop-off from the LR to the TUR. In every case, again, except for Kale and Khalifa. Even for, like, LR Baby. LR Baby gets a massive power buff from TUR to LR. It's gigantic. So, I always recommend to feed them in. open up the dupe paths. That's the most important thing with those LRs, because, you know, LRs 99% of the time are the best units in the game, so you want to maximize that. And as more new units come out all the time, you know, there's more options for these teams and stuff like that. So there we go, guys. There is PEPPY GAL, the PEPPY GAL team on the super class stage, no items. A very impressive challenge that the PEPPY GAL team is able to do. They're just ridiculous. So thanks, guys, for watching, and I'll catch you next time.